Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Car collection, art collection, wine collection, Hummel collection. All right, well, forget that one. But along the way in this thing called life, we collect things that have value that aren't necessarily in the category of investments, like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, property, etc. They're passion assets. And these get complicated unless you're working with a team who understands passion assets. And we've got two of our Annex teammates to talk about them and how we assist in planning for their distribution. Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning Development, CFE, CDFA, is here. Hello, Deanne.
Hello, Danny.
Amy Kiskel is an attorney, a CPA, and Director of Wealth Strategy at Annex. Hey, Amy.
Hi, Danny.
So stocks, bonds, annuities, and a ton of other investment vehicles. But we're talking about passion assets. What's in that category?
Okay, what you're talking about with stocks and bonds, those are what we call titled assets. These are things that pass by beneficiary designation. But what we're talking about with passion assets is all the rest of the stuff that doesn't. However, some of it has a valuation and some of it really is sentimental.
Yeah, so you're talking about things like furniture, collections, jewelry, music instruments, maybe even your pets.
So what makes something a passion asset? We get a strong feeling about it then, right?
Here's where the differentiator lies. I think behaviorally, we tend to anchor to what we paid for something. Let's talk about valued things. You know, we bought that expensive bedroom furniture collection. So now that's kind of the price in our mind that we put on what the value is and we want to pass it down. But here's the thing. We know statistically the next generation doesn't necessarily want our heavy bedroom furniture. And most things, and Amy, you could talk about this, really go at, unfortunately, estate sale, garage sale prices.
It's true. A lot of passion assets have more sentimental value or emotional value than maybe they do financial value, but that's important too. It's family memories, family history that's being passed along with these passion assets.
In financial planning, the emphasis is on investable assets, right, Deanne?
Partially. I will say that those things, the hard value is important, but also things with a valuation are also utilized in financial planning, and they are important too, especially if there's an insurance rider on something. But I would also say, you mentioned a valuable, maybe musical instrument that does have a rider on it, like a grand piano, I'm thinking, or maybe that wine collection or a gun collection or something like that, where you actually can have a valuation.
When does the discussion begin when it comes to passion assets? I'm going to think it ultimately when the person who is passionate about it is still alive.
That is a great time to start it. There's going to be a couple of key moments in life that it makes sense to really dive into what to do with your passion assets. One might be if you're downsizing or kind of decluttering, a good time to go through your stuff and see kind of what you have. Another time is when you're doing your estate plan. So your passion assets are assets that get passed along under your estate planning documents. So that's a great time to think about that list of the things we have and who we might want to leave them to.
And Danny, can you guess what the number one in the U.S. passion asset is?
No clue.
You should have a clue because you have a few of them.
Oh, pets.
Pets is the number one. And a lot of people fail to make provisions for their pets in their estate plan.
Who was it, Amy? Leona Helmsley?
Leona Hemsley, yes. Yeah. Left a very big provision in her estate plan for her
Too
pet.
big. The judge kind of clawed it back a little bit.
A ton. It's possible these passion assets do hold a deeper meaning than even investable assets. Is the goal to make the eventual distribution joyful? Can you do that?
You can. As we talked about, a lot of it is family history and memories, and that can certainly be part of the process. I've seen a lot of benefit in families coming together and looking at those assets and talking about where they came from, what their history is, and who might want to receive which assets.
But it's also gone the other way, right?
Yes. It is done the other way, and sometimes it's done the other way with those sentimental things that don't necessarily, like grandma's favorite pie plate that from generations she served Thanksgiving pie in, right? Every kid might want that pie plate, or some people might. And this is where we see a common practice that isn't exactly legal, but where grandma will say, take the masking tape, put your name on it, stick it on the furniture, right? And you get it upon my passing.
That might be a joyful or fun family way to distribute assets, but yeah, legality would mean also coordinate it with your estate planning documents.
But what's fair? There's got to be a big difference between the 65 Corvette Stingray and the thimble collection.
There is. So we talked about a lot of assets maybe not having a ton of value. Some can have very significant value, and we're talking about a thing that typically can't be split. And thinking about that, if you're thinking about the Corvette or the very expensive music collection, you might be thinking about, well, do I want to equalize or make it equitable with the other children who won't be receiving that asset?
If somebody's passed, is it too late to arrange equitable distribution?
It's not. So in your estate planning document, you're going to see something about how that process happened. So there's going to be either the beneficiaries can come together and make decisions on their own. If not, your personal representative or trustee might make those decisions for the beneficiaries and how to divide those assets up. And at the end of the day, if there's things that nobody wants, that typically gets sold, and then the cash gets distributed to the beneficiaries.
And again, the things with a right, like an insurance rider, are very claimable. You can see those things like jewelry sometimes, or anything with a value would normally be addressed in the person's estate plan.
Oftentimes, yes.
Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning Development, CFP, CDFA at Annex. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Amy Kiskala, Director of Wealth Strategy at Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Thank you.